The slave market on the desert moon of Vera was never quiet. Merchants shouted prices. Guards dragged cages. Buyers argued over the cost of strong laborers or rare alien pets. But that day, the noise slowly died. It began when a heavy iron door at the far corner opened. The sound was deep, like a slow drumbeat. Chains rattled. A tall figure stepped out, pushed forward by two armored guards. She was not like the others for sale. Her skin shimmered faintly, as if catching light from somewhere that wasn't there. Her long hair was tangled, but her glowing yellow eyes were sharp and alive. The air around her felt dangerous. The auctioneer, a fat alien with 4 eyes, swallowed before speaking. "Lot 88, he said loudly, but his voice had a small tremor. "Captured in the wild regions beyond syndicate control. Female. Unknown species. Warning, extremely violent." The crowd shifted uncomfortably. Some alien buyers stepped back. Everyone had heard the rumors. She had killed 3 guards during transport. She did not eat for days, but still fought with strength like a predator. The syndicate had to put special energy cuffs on her wrists and ankles to keep her from breaking free. The auctioneer tried to sound confident. "Starting bid, 10,000 credits." Silence. No one raised a hand. The alien girl's gaze swept over the crowd, slow and deliberate. Her eyes stopped on each face, reading them, judging them. Some buyers lowered their heads, pretending to be interested in other things. Others whispered to each other. A lizard-skinned merchant leaned toward his neighbor. "Too dangerous. She will kill whoever buys her." A tall insectoid clicked his mandibles. "Not worth the trouble. Even the syndicate wants her gone." The auctioneer cleared his throat. "Come now. Rare merchandise like this, surely someone." The alien girl moved suddenly, jerking at her chains. The guards held her back, but sparks jumped from her cuffs. The crowd stepped back as one. No one spoke. "I'll take her." Heads turned. The crowd parted slightly to reveal a man, human. He stood tall, wearing a simple coat dusty from travel. His dark hair was a little messy, his hands steady. His eyes, calm and unreadable, were fixed on the girl. He didn't look afraid. The auctioneer blinked. "Sir, are you sure?" "The danger level." "I'll take her," the human repeated. And then, slowly, he raised his hand. Gasps moved through the crowd. A few buyers exchanged shocked looks. Humans were rare here, and most stayed far away from dangerous trades like this. One alien merchant laughed nervously. "Foolish human. She'll tear him apart." The auctioneer tried again. "She is not trained." "She is not." "I didn't ask for her to be trained," the human said. "Name the price." The auctioneer hesitated, then announced, 10,000 credits sold. The crowd murmured in disbelief. Some muttered that the human wouldn't survive the night. Others whispered that maybe he was a syndicate agent, sent to kill her later. But the girl, she just stared at him. Her eyes locked on his like a predator studying prey. The guards dragged her forward, chains scraping against the stone floor. When she reached the human, she didn't look at the cuffs or the ground, only at him. She smiled, slow and sharp, showing teeth too white for someone kept in chains. It wasn't a friendly smile. The auctioneer handed the human a datapad for the payment. "We are not responsible," he said carefully. "If she kills you, you accepted the risk." The human signed without looking away from the girl. "I understand." The chains were passed to him. The weight was heavy, but he didn't flinch. She stood close enough now that he could feel the strange heat radiating from her skin. "Come on," he said quietly. She didn't move. The human tugged the chain gently. She tilted her head, as if deciding whether to obey or attack. Around them, the crowd watched eagerly, hoping for violence. Finally, she stepped forward. They left the market together, the human leading, the alien girl walking behind him with a calm, almost lazy stride. But her eyes never stopped watching. She was studying his movements, his breathing, his grip on the chain. From the shadows, 2 alien thugs whispered to each other. "How long do you think before she kills him?" "Before sunrise," the other answered. At the edge of the market, the human stopped and glanced back. She was still smiling. He had no idea that the choice he made in that moment, raising his hand when no one else dared, was about to pull him into a storm far bigger than he could imagine. The human led her through the crowded streets of Vera's main city. The market noise faded behind them, replaced by the hum of neon lights and the distant roar of airships overhead. People stepped aside when they saw the alien girl's glowing eyes and sparking cuffs. Some pointed. Others whispered. A few followed, curious to see how this would end. The human didn't speak. He walked with steady steps, one hand holding the chain, the other resting near a holstered weapon at his side. His expression was unreadable, as if nothing about this night was strange to him. The alien girl walked like she was not chained at all. Her movements were smooth, almost graceful, like a predator conserving energy before a kill. Every few seconds, her eyes shifted from the street to him, studying him, searching for weakness. They stopped in front of a small, run-down building on the edge of the city. A flickering sign above the door read, "Rooms available." Inside, the air was warm and smelled faintly of metal and dust. The innkeeper, a short reptilian alien, froze when he saw the girl. "You bring that here?" The innkeeper hissed. "She's dangerous." "She's with me," the human said calmly. The innkeeper looked from the human to the girl, then back again. "If she kills you in your sleep, I don't clean the mess." The human paid for a single room without argument. He led her upstairs, the chain clinking softly with every step. The room was small. A single bed, a metal chair, a cracked window that looked out over the dim streets below. The human closed the door and locked it. He removed his coat and placed it on the chair. Then he set his weapon on the table, in easy reach. The girl stood in the corner, still chained. She said nothing. She didn't need to. Her eyes were sharp enough to speak. She didn't sit, didn't rest, didn't blink for long. She just watched him, the faint glow of her pupils catching the weak light from the window. The human lay down on the bed. "Get some rest," he said softly. She didn't move. Minutes passed, then hours. The city sounds outside grew quieter, leaving only the hum of the neon lights. Midnight came. The human's breathing slowed, like someone asleep. But his grip on the chain was still firm. A faint crackle broke the silence. The cuffs around her wrists sparked again, and then, with a small burst of light, the locks opened. The chains fell to the floor with a heavy clink. She stood there, free. Her gaze slid to the weapon on the table. Her muscles tensed. Her steps were slow and silent as she crossed the room. She moved like liquid shadow, her glowing eyes fixed on his throat. She raised her hand, ready to strike. Then his eyes opened. "I was waiting for you," he said quietly. She froze. For a moment, they stared at each other. Her expression was unreadable, but something in her eyes shifted, confusion, maybe even curiosity. Most prey didn't look at a predator like that. "Why?" she finally asked, her voice low and rough from days without speaking. The human sat up slowly, never breaking eye contact. "Because I know you weren't caught by accident. And I know the syndicate doesn't sell something this dangerous unless they're afraid of it." Her jaw tightened. "Afraid of me? Afraid of what you know?" he replied. She tilted her head slightly, almost like she was testing his words in her mind. Then she moved back to the corner, still free but no longer attacking. Outside, heavy footsteps echoed in the street. Shadows passed beneath the window. A low voice spoke in a language she recognized, a language that was not the syndicate's. Her body went tense. She looked at him sharply. "They're coming." The human reached for his weapon and stood. "Then you'd better decide if you're running alone or with me." She hesitated. It was a strange feeling. For years, she trusted no one. But this human, this foolish man who bought her when no one else dared, was not afraid of her. And that made her unsure. Uncertainty was not something she liked. The footsteps outside grew louder. She stepped forward, close enough to see her own reflection in his eyes. "Fine," she said. "For now." The human opened the door. The hallway was empty, but the air felt heavy. Somewhere below, a floorboard creaked. The night air outside the inn was heavy with dust and neon glow. Somewhere in the shadows, someone was watching. The human knew it. The alien girl knew it too. Inside their small room, the chain still lay on the floor where she had dropped it. Her cuffs hung loosely, their locks broken. She sat on the cold floor near the window, her eyes following every movement he made. He didn't tell her to put the cuffs back on. He didn't even keep his weapon pointed at her. Instead, he quietly checked the magazine, slid it back into place, and holstered the gun. His calmness made her more curious than angry. "You didn't stop me," she finally said. "From what?" he asked without looking at her. "From killing you." He gave a small shrug. "If you wanted me dead, I'd be dead already." Her eyes narrowed. She didn't like that answer. The noise outside changed. a faint scrape of boots against stone, then the soft hiss of a door opening somewhere down street. She rose to her feet, silent as a shadow. "They're coming," she whispered. "I know," he said simply. That made her pause again. This human was strange. Either he was fearless, or he was hiding something far more dangerous than fear. She moved to the window. The street below was empty, but the dark spaces between the neon lights seemed too deep, too still. Her instinct screamed, "Run." She turned back to him. "I don't stay with prey. You slow me down." Without warning, she darted to the door, moving faster than most could see. But before she could reach it, his voice stopped her. "If you run," he said softly, "you'll last 10 minutes before they find you. 5 before they kill you." She turned, eyes flashing. "And you? How long do you last?" He smiled faintly. "Long enough." She hesitated, the door half open in her hand. That hesitation cost her, because the moment she stepped into the hallway, a figure dropped from the ceiling. A syndicate hunter, its long limbs snapped forward, claws reaching for her throat. She twisted away, slammed her elbow into its side, and sent it crashing into the wall. Another shadow moved behind her. This one was faster. She spun and kicked, sending it tumbling down the stairs. From inside the room, the human didn't move to help. He just leaned against the doorframe, watching her fight. When the last hunter in the hall staggered toward her, he finally spoke. "You fight well for someone running away." She snarled at him. "I fight to live." He stepped forward, drew his weapon, and fired one clean shot. The last hunter dropped instantly. Smoke curled in the hallway air. She stared at him, breathing hard. "Why didn't you kill them all earlier?" "Because I wanted to see if you could," he said. Her eyes narrowed again, but deep inside, a small spark of respect flickered. She hated it. Down the stairs, more footsteps echoed. Not syndicate. Different rhythm. Different weight. She froze when she heard the voice. It spoke in her language, the words low and cold. "You belong to the syndicate, and so does the human." Her heart tightened. Not because of fear, because of recognition. Whoever spoke knew her past. The human tilted his head, listening. "Sounds like you've made friends." "They are not friends," she said flatly. He walked toward the back of the hallway, motioning for her to follow. "Then we should leave." She didn't move immediately. She didn't like following anyone. But the alternative, staying here to be surrounded, was worse. They slipped out the back door into a narrow alley lit only by a broken street lamp. The smell of burnt metal hung in the air. Somewhere far above, a neon sign buzzed. She stopped suddenly. "You should go your way. I'll go mine." He didn't turn to face her. "If that's what you want." For some reason, the way he said it made her pause again. It wasn't fear. It wasn't anger. It was certainty, like he already knew she would follow. She told herself she wouldn't. But when the shadows in the alley moved again, and 3 more hunters appeared, she found herself stepping closer to him instead of away. He drew his weapon. She flexed her hands, ready to strike. The hunters advanced. And in that moment, without saying it, they both decided the escape would not be alone. The alley was too quiet after the hunters fell. Too quiet for a city like Vera. The human knew that meant only one thing. Something worse was coming. He glanced at the alien girl. She stood with her back to the wall, breathing slow, her glowing eyes scanning every shadow. She had fought well, but now she was tense, like she was hearing something he couldn't. "They're not done," she said quietly. He nodded once. "I know." Above them, a rooftop shadow shifted. Then another. The syndicate wasn't chasing anymore. They were hunting, and they weren't the only ones. The girl looked at him suddenly. "We can't stay in the city. They'll block the streets." "Then we take the places they won't," he replied. Her eyes narrowed. "Which are?" He pointed upward, to the rooftops. Without another word, they climbed. She was fast, her movements more like an animal than a person, scaling walls and jumping to ledges without slowing. He followed, slower but steady, using handholds like he had done this 100 times before. From the rooftops, the city looked different, less alive, more like a maze of light and shadow. But it was not empty. Shapes moved between buildings, silent and fast. "Those aren't syndicate," she said, her voice low. "I know," he answered. She gave him a sharp look. "You know a lot for someone who bought me at an auction." He didn't respond. Instead, he pulled something from his coat, a small metal device, no bigger than his palm. It pulsed with a faint blue light. Her eyes widened instantly. "Where did you get that?" "Found it," he said simply. "That is not something you find." Her voice was sharp now, almost angry. "Only my people made that, and they don't give it away." He turned it over in his hand. "Then they didn't give it to me." Before she could ask more, the light from the device flickered and then grew brighter, sending a ripple through the air. Far away, in the black sky above Vera, something answered. A deep hum rolled through the night like distant thunder. She grabbed his arm. "You don't know what you just did." He looked at her calmly. "I think I do." Movement caught her attention. Across the rooftops, a group of dark figures leapt closer. They were tall, lean, and wearing armor that shimmered like oil in the light. Their weapons were curved, glowing faintly at the edges. Her voice dropped. "They're not here for you. They're here for me." He stepped forward, aiming his weapon. "Good thing I'm with you, then." The first hunter landed on the rooftop, rolling to its feet with unnatural speed. It hissed in a language she recognized, her own. Her chest tightened. "Give us the key," the hunter demanded, "and we will let you die quickly." She took a slow step forward, no fear in her movements. "Come take it." The fight exploded. She moved like lightning, her cuffs clashing against armored blades, sparks flying into the night. The human fired precise shots, each one hitting where it hurt most. 2 hunters went down fast, but more kept coming from the shadows. "They'll never stop," she shouted over the noise. "Neither will I," he answered. The device in his coat began to hum louder, almost like it was alive. The light from it bled through the fabric. The hunters saw it and lunged harder. One of them almost reached him, but the alien girl slammed into it, sending both tumbling toward the edge of the roof. She twisted free at the last second, and the hunter fell into the street below with a sickening crack. She landed beside him, breathing fast. "We can't fight all of them. We need to go now." He glanced at the glowing device, then at her. "Where?" She hesitated for a heartbeat. "There's a place outside the city. If we reach it, I can hide us. And if we don't," she looked at the hunters closing in, "then the syndicate gets their prize, and you get nothing." They ran. Across rooftops, through narrow gaps, leaping from building to building. Behind them, the hunters followed, fast and silent. The hum from the device grew sharper, vibrating in his hand. Then, without warning, it released a short burst of light straight into the sky. She stopped mid-run. "No, you didn't." He looked at her. "What did it do?" Her voice was low, almost trembling. "It told my people where I am." Above them, the clouds shifted, the stars flickered, and from beyond the black sky, shapes began to descend. The sky over Vera split open. At first, it was just light, thin streaks cutting through the black clouds. But then the shapes emerged. Sleek, silver arcs that moved without sound. No engines, no heat trails, just silent hunters from the stars. The alien girl's eyes widened. She knew those ships. The marks on their hulls glowed with the same symbols burned into her own skin. "They are not here to rescue me," she said. Her voice was steady, but her hands clenched. "They are here to erase me." The human didn't look away from the sky. "Then we make sure they don't." She turned to him sharply. "You don't understand. Once they land, no one escapes. They will burn this city just to kill me." His answer was calm, almost cold. "Good. That gives us cover." Before she could ask what he meant, the first beam hit. A column of white light slammed into the far side of the city, melting towers like wax. The ground shook. People screamed. And somewhere in the chaos, the syndicate hunters scattered, trying to escape the new threat. The human grabbed her wrist. "We move now." They sprinted across the rooftop, leaping down onto a narrow balcony. Shards of glass crunched under their boots as they slipped inside a half-collapsed building. The walls were cracked, the air thick with dust, but it gave them cover from the eyes above. She pressed her back to the wall, breathing fast. "They can track heat. They'll see us. Not if we stay under the old grid," he said, pointing to a staircase leading down into the dark. "The tunnels." Her face hardened. "You've been here before." "I've been everywhere before," he replied. Another blast shook the city. Through a gap in the wall, she saw one of the silver arcs hover above a syndicate patrol. A narrow beam of light lanced down. When it faded, the patrol was gone. No ash, no remains, just gone. "They're wiping everything," she whispered. "That's what armies do," he said, pushing open a rusted door. The tunnels beneath Vera were cold and damp, smelling of oil and rust. Pipes lined the walls, dripping occasionally into dark puddles. Their footsteps echoed softly, and for the first time since the night began, the city's noise faded. But the silence didn't last. A faint hum began, deeper and heavier than the one from the device. It came from behind them. She looked over her shoulder and froze. One of the silver arcs was lowering a drone into the tunnel. Its body was smooth, almost insect-like, and its single glowing eye swept across the darkness like a searchlight. "They sent a scout," she said. The human didn't stop walking. "Then we don't let it report back." She hesitated. "If you fire, they'll know where we are." "They already know," he said. The drone's light locked onto them. In an instant, it unfolded razor-like limbs and rushed forward, gliding over the wet floor without a sound. She leapt sideways, rolling into the shadows. The human stood his ground, lifting his weapon. One clean shot, straight into the drone's eye. The machine convulsed, sparks spraying, before collapsing into the water. For a moment, the tunnel was quiet again. But then, the hum returned, stronger this time. She stepped closer. "You didn't kill it fast enough." It sent the signal. Above them, the ground shook. Dust rained down from the ceiling. The human tightened his grip on the device in his coat. "We're running out of time," he said. They moved faster, the tunnel twisting into older, narrower passages. Here, the lights were dead. Only the faint glow from her eyes and the pulsing device lit the way. Finally, they reached a rusted hatch. She crouched, feeling along the edges. "This leads to the outlands." "Then open it," he said. She looked up at him. "If we go out there, the syndicate can't help you. No one can. It's just you, me, and them." She tilted her head toward the sky above. He didn't hesitate. "Then let's go." The hatch groaned as it opened, revealing the barren stretch beyond the city walls. Dust plains lit only by the burning skyline behind them. For one moment, the air was still. Then a shadow fell over the ground. A massive shape descended, blocking the stars. It was not Syndicate. It was not her people's army. It was something else, something she had never seen before. Her voice was barely a whisper. "That is not supposed to exist." The human looked up, his expression unreadable. "It does now." The ground shook again as the giant ship settled. Panels along its hull slid open, revealing rows of soldiers in armor blacker than the void. The soldiers moved in perfect silence. Their armor was smooth and black, swallowing all light. The man who had removed his helmet, the one who looked exactly like the human, stood at the front. His eyes were the same gray, his jaw the same shape, even the scar above the right eyebrow was in the same place. The alien girl stared between them. "You never told me you had a twin." "I don't," the human said flatly. The other man smirked. "He doesn't because I'm not his twin." He stepped closer, each movement controlled, almost mechanical. "I am what he was supposed to become." The girl's voice dropped. "A clone." The smirk faded. "Not just a clone. The first successful hybrid. Human and her kind combined." The human didn't flinch, but his grip on the device in his coat tightened. "Why are you here?" "To finish what you started," the clone said. "You stole the key. You stole her. And now you're running. But you know you can't outrun the truth." The alien girl took a step back. "What truth?" The clone's gaze shifted to her. "You are not a slave. You are not a prisoner. You are the weapon they built to end the war." Her pulse quickened. "That's a lie." He tilted his head. "Then why do you think they branded you with a key? Why do you think your own people are here to kill you? Because you can destroy everything they have built with a single thought." She shook her head, but his words slid into her mind like blades. Memories flashed, moments she never understood. The times she woke up with blood on her hands. The times her vision blurred and people fell dead without her touching them. "No," she whispered. "That wasn't me." The clone stepped closer. It was. You were made in their labs, given memories that aren't yours, told you were born, not built. But you were built. Every cell, every nerve, designed for one purpose. The human finally spoke. And what's that? The clone smiled faintly. To erase the syndicate and everyone like them. To erase us. A beam of light cut through the dust plains. One of the alien ships was descending fast, weapons ready. The clone didn't look back. They won't fire yet. Not until they know whose side you choose. The girl's breathing quickened. I don't choose sides. That's not true, the clone said. You chose him. He pointed at the human. You followed him, fought beside him, but you don't even know why he bought you at the auction. She turned sharply. Why did you? The human didn't answer right away. His eyes stayed locked on the clone. Because I knew what you were. Her heart dropped. You knew. I knew you were important, he said. I didn't know all of this. But I knew if they wanted you dead, you were worth saving. The clone laughed softly. Worth saving? He wanted the weapon for himself. Don't pretend otherwise. Shut up, the human snapped. The girl stepped back from both of them. Her mind was a storm. Truth, lies, half-memories all clashing at once. If what you're saying is true, then what happens to me? The clone's expression softened, almost like pity. You stop running. You come with me. We teach you to use what you are. And when the war ends, you'll be free. And if I don't? She asked. He glanced at the sky. Then they will burn this planet to find you. Silence stretched between them. In the distance, the alien ships circled like vultures waiting. Finally, the human spoke. You don't have to believe either of us. You just have to survive. We can figure out the rest later. The girl's gaze flicked between them. Two men with the same face, telling two versions of the truth. She didn't know which was worse, that one was lying, or that both were telling the truth. Before she could answer, the ground shook violently. A syndicate transport burst over the horizon, weapons firing at the alien ships. The sky erupted into chaos, beams of light, fire, and falling debris raining over the plains. The clone turned sharply. Decision time. The human grabbed her arm. We move now. She hesitated only a second before running with him toward the wreckage-strewn hills. Behind them, the clone shouted something in a language she didn't know, and the black-armored soldiers followed. The girl's thoughts were a storm. If she was truly what they said, then she wasn't just running from hunters, she was running from herself. The sky was burning. Fragments of syndicate ships rained down in slow arcs, trailing smoke. The alien fleets circled above like vultures, their silver arcs cutting through the black clouds. And between the wreckage and fire, the human kept running, his hands still locked around hers, just as it had been since the auction. He never let go. Not once. Behind them, the clone and his soldiers closed in, moving with impossible precision. Every time she looked back, the distance between them was smaller. We can't outrun them, she said. I know, the human replied. His voice was steady, almost too steady for the chaos around them. They reached the edge of a collapsed ridge. Below was a long canyon, its floor hidden in shadow. The human stopped, pulling her close to the edge. They want you alive, he said. That's the only reason we've made it this far. She pulled her arm free. If I'm really what they say, if I'm a weapon, then maybe I should stop running. His eyes locked onto hers. No, you're not a weapon. You're a choice. Before she could answer, a beam of light smashed into the ridge behind them, sending shards of stone into the air. The clone emerged from the dust, his face identical to the human's, his black armor untouched by the blast. It's over, the clone called. You can't protect her forever. Lower your hand and give her to me. The human said nothing. He stepped in front of her, his body a shield. His left hand was still holding hers, but his right hand, hidden in his coat, was wrapped around the device he had carried since the beginning. The clone's voice dropped. You know what that thing does? You use it, you kill us both. Her too. The human finally spoke. Not if she controls it. The girl froze. Me? He nodded. You felt it before, the energy inside you. This device was made to activate it. The only question is whether you control it or it controls you. The clone stepped forward, slow and deliberate. If she tries without training, It will burn her alive. She's stronger than you think, the human said. The girl's heart pounded. Her mind was split, fear on one side, rage on the other. All her life, she had been told what she was. Slave, prisoner, weapon. Now, in the middle of this battlefield, she had a chance to decide for herself. She reached for the device. The human didn't let go of her hand. Not for a second. The clone soldiers fanned out, surrounding them. Above, the alien ships adjusted their position, beams ready to fire. Every eye, human, clone, alien, was locked on her. She took the device. The moment her fingers closed around it, she felt it, like lightning under her skin, racing through every nerve. The air around her shimmered, the dust lifting from the ground as if gravity itself was bending. The clone's voice cut through the roar in her ears. Focus, or it will kill you. The human's voice followed, softer. I'm right here. I'm not letting go. Her breath slowed. The energy surged higher, but she pushed it outward, shaping it. Light poured from her hands, and for the first time, she saw the clone step back. Not from fear, but from recognition. She's doing it, he whispered. The soldiers moved forward. The girl raised her free hand, and the air cracked with a wave of force. Armor shattered. Weapons flew from their grips. The alien ships above fired, but their beams bent away, curving harmlessly into the sky. The light around her grew brighter, burning through the smoke until the whole battlefield was white. In that light, she saw everything. Her memories, real and false. Her life in chains. The moment at the auction when the human's hand went up and never came down. It hit her then. He hadn't bought her to own her. He had bought her so no one else could. The energy reached its peak. She could end it all. Wipe the clone, the soldiers, even the ships above from existence. But she remembered his words. You're not a weapon. You're a choice. She let the energy flow, but not to destroy. Instead, she pushed it outward like a shield, a sphere of light that sent every enemy flying back. The alien fleet broke formation. The syndicate ships scattered, and in the sudden silence, only she, the human, and the clone remained. The light faded. The device crumbled to dust in her hands. She looked at the clone. Tell them to stop hunting me. He didn't answer, but for the first time, he lowered his head. The human still hadn't let go of her hand. They turned and walked away from the battlefield together. Behind them, the world they had known was still burning, but ahead, for the first time, the horizon was clear.